eThekwini Municipality's wastewater reuse treatment plant project looks to turn raw sewage into clean, safe, drinkable water. The city says results from the pilot projects will assist in implementing its alternate new water scheme, whose feasibility study is underway. This week, the South African Human Rights Commission in KwaZulu-Natal found that municipalities in that province failed to provide water to the community. The commission conducted an investigation after receiving hundreds of complaints about the failure of the municipalities to provide clean water to the communities. Dhevan Govender, the acting deputy head of for engineering and data services at eThekwini Municipality's water and sanitation unit, joins us now. Dhevan, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. First, let's get your reaction to this latest report by the South African Human Rights Commission, essentially saying that municipalities in general and water service authorities have violated residents' rights to access clean drinking water.
Thanks, Unati, and good afternoon to you and the viewers. Yes, I believe there was a report that was recently received by the municipality. Municipality is currently investigating that report. My launch took place on Wednesday, and our councillor did mention, yes, acknowledge the report. It is being investigated. I can safely say that eThekwini Water and Sanitation, we've got one of the best drinking waters in the country. That's been proven many times. It's been reported, and we're quite proud to say that we have our own laboratory services. And of recent, yes, we have had challenges, especially since the April 2022 floods. There were instances, especially with the significant damage to our water and sewer infrastructure. However, Durban University of Technology, one of our collaborating partners in the city, has undertaken numerous testing and has proven that the water does meet SANS 241 standard and is safe to drink. So yes, that has been the recent report. However, we are currently investigating the report that we have recently received. Thank you.
I mean, on one hand, it is good to talk about, how clean the drinking water is, but there's also that question of accessibility, which is a huge challenge, not only in KwaZulu-Natal, but as we are seeing now across the country. Let's talk now about this pilot project. Which areas is it currently being piloted, and how many liters of water are you hoping to produce?
All right, now thank you for the question. Yes, so the pilot project is aligned with our water reuse strategy in the city. So currently, eThekwini Water and Sanitation, we distribute approximately 1,100 megaliters per day. That's close to just over 1 billion liters of water. Our bulk service provider is Umgeni Water. We are both a water service authority and a water service provider. That simply means is that we do also have 5 small water treatment facilities of our own where we produce drinking water standard. However, with the densification and the increasing demand that we're experiencing, we are now looking at an alternative supply of water. Is to bring in an additional 20% of alternative reuse to ensure that we diversify the water mix. Yes, we do have a Umkomazi dam. It's the long-term project we're looking at implementing. However, as a city, we're looking at proactive measures to ensure that we do not have that we have a water security at hand, and we do not go into water restrictions. Currently, throughout the country, there is a lot of the municipalities experience water restrictions as simply because of the increasing demand. As soon as you bring in services into an area, you have the migration process taking place. We were used to a 1.8% growth in the erstwhile days, and we're now currently experiencing growth of approximately 6% per year. So hence the reason is our strategy is to bring in more water. So the pilot process, we entered into an MOU with MEB. It's a leading technology company that produces reuse water. It was a project that was undertaken in a 2-phase process. The first phase started during COVID. It was a 6-meter container where we looked at addressing the secondary treatment initially. The secondary treatment is basically now moving away from conventional aeration treatment processes, which is very energy hungry and basically very conventional type of technology. We're now moving into an MABR technology, which is much more innovative in the sense that it uses very less energy and it also has a lower cost. The second phase of the project started in May. It was commissioned in May. It was another 6-foot container where we then now took the water from the secondary treatment into a tertiary treatment process where we're now producing drinkable water standard as per SANS 241 in South Africa. So the project was launched on the 20th of September by our councillor, Ntuli, and it's now currently will be running for a period of 6 months. So the pilot process basically proves that we can utilize that the drinking water, that the reuse water that's being produced from these tertiary plants does meet the standards.
Now, you would understand some cynicism from residents, given the history of the quality of water in KwaZulu-Natal. You know, how can people buy into this project? We know, of course, that Durban, as an example, has one of the highest E. coli levels, you know, just with the critical water quality.
Yes, Sunati. Well, you know, in 2022, that was an unprecedented flood that we experienced. You know, it's in our history of water and sanitation, we've never experienced that kind of devastation. So yes, as much as we're reeling from that infrastructure rehabilitation process, we cannot negate the fact that South Africa is a water scarce country. We are going to be heavily reliant on water reuse and desalination in the future. We as a city, we want to be proactive. We want to ensure that we have sufficient supply of water. Currently, as I mentioned previously, our bulk service provider, Umgeni Water, has capped us. That simply means is that they've basically capped us to how much of water that they can supply. So with the increasing demand, if we cannot bring in alternative supply, then basically we're heading towards a day zero, right? Because as I mentioned earlier, our water security issues is not just unique to eThekwini, but throughout the other metros and the other utilities in South Africa. So we were very much used to a 99% yield assurance in the erstwhile days. We are now dropped to a 95% yield assurance. So that means that if we do not bring in more water in the near distant future, we are going to head into water restrictions. So yes, there's two separate matters that we are talking about. Yes, there will be instances which we currently are investigating, but as I mentioned previously, the quality standards have been tested through DOT and our laboratory, and they do meet the SANS 241 standard. The laboratory that we do have in eThekwini Water and Sanitation is accredited laboratory services that undertakes these testing on a weekly basis. So certainly the standards can be assured that are being met and do meet the SANS 241 standard. We are yet to find a contradiction to that standard. And certainly the reuse projects will be aligned to ensure that we have sufficient water in the near future to ensure that we do not go into water restrictions.
How much is this alternative, project or supply of water costing the city at the moment?
Okay, so currently the pilot process is at no cost to council, right? Basically, it's there to prove and give the confidence that we can that the technology does exist and can produce good quality drinking water through a water reuse vehicle. In terms of our plans going forward, we have registered a public-private partnership project with National Treasury to basically incorporate a 100 megaliter per day reuse plant. The plant will be 250 megaliters plant, one at our commercial wastewater treatment works and one at our northern wastewater treatment works. That will basically deal with the demand and in terms of the catchment, and ensure that we bring in more water into the system and do not go into water restrictions. So eThekwini, fortunately, we hold the torch when it comes to reuse. We've got the longest running reuse plant in South Africa. So that's our Dhevan water recycling plant that was commissioned back in 2001. It's been successfully run through a public-private partnership for the past 20 years. It was an industrial water reuse component. We were supplying to key industries in the Southern Basin. And certainly at that time in 2001, it was the biggest reuse plant in South Africa.
Dhevan, I'm sorry to cut in. I just want to know, how much is this going to be costing the city? Are you going to be using further funds from Treasury? How much is it costing the city since you started this project in, as you said, during COVID?
Okay, so from COVID to now, in terms of the pilot process, the city has spent zero costing.
Okay.
This costing is basically by the project sponsor, which is in this case MEB. When we undertake pilot projects, it is at no cost to council. So we enter into MOUs with the technology providing companies to ensure that they do meet the requirements. And in terms of the demonstration process, we get the confidence that we need. But in terms of the costing for the pilot process, it's at no cost. With regards to the public-private partnership, we're currently in feasibility study, right? In terms of National Treasury, for all PPPs, they undertake a three-pronged test. Basically, it has to prove that it has to be affordable for the city, it has to be value for money for the city, and significant risk needs to be transferred to the private party. So certainly the costing will come out through the feasibility study, but you can safely say that having had a reuse plant operating for the last 20 years, it was a commercially viable plant. Certainly with regards to the reuse plant, the 100 megaliter plant, to drinking portable standards, it will also be commercially viable, and it has to be value for money and affordable to the city. So certainly I cannot give you a costing right now, but what I can tell you, it will be an affordable tariff for the city, as it is a 100 megaliter plant. That is where the economies of scale come in, and where we ensure that we get a sustainable plant, where we are future-proofing and ensure we get a guaranteed of supply of water during the course of the concession contract.
All right, Dhevan, thank you so much for your time.